The LiesOfP demo has finally gone live over on Steam, and so I thought that we could take our SAPPHIRE Nitro RX 7900XTX for a spin at a 4K resolution and with the game maxed out at its best quality setting. As always, all the footage in this video has been recorded using AMD Ryzen, and the performance overlay is provided by Rivertuna Statistics server. When it comes to performance, we are looking at an average frame rate somewhere around 120 FPS, and the game manages to look good visually whilst also running incredibly smoothly. When you first boot up the game, you'll be greeted by a relatively short shader compilation sequence which thankfully seems to catch the vast majority of potential stutters before they happen. If we drop down to FSR2 quality mode, our performance jumps up to somewhere around the 180 FPS mark, which indicates great CPU scaling since we don't appear to be hitting any CPU limitations. Also, whilst I didn't go out of my way to compare FSR to native rendering, I can say that I was overall very impressed by both the quality and stability of the FSR presentation. I also want to point out that whilst our frame time graph is looking, let's be honest, kind of iffy, the good news is that unlike many other games that show erratic frame times, the frame time steps between each frame does at least appear to be very consistent, meaning that I was pretty much completely unable to feel or see these inconsistencies on my FreeSync compatible monitor. Over the past few years, a clear divide has emerged between full-blown AAA graphical quality and what we would normally consider to be AA/big budget indies. LiesOfP most certainly lands in the latter group, but I do believe that the visuals on display definitely hold their own next to its competition, and that even includes the games that very obviously served as inspiration. Unfortunately, for those like myself that have recently played through Atomic Heart, I do think that LiesOfP falls victim to a very similar looking enemy design, which does mute a little bit of the uniqueness that I believe the game would have had otherwise in terms of its presentation. That said, I do believe that LiesOfP does it better, and for those that have not recently pumped a bunch of hours into Atomic Heart, I'm guessing that wow factor is probably still going to be there. Now, whilst I'm pretty sure that the footage that you're seeing here makes it abundantly obvious, I still feel like I should make it clear that LiesOfP is aggressively Souls-like. And in many ways, I'd even go as far as to say that I personally found it to be a little more unforgiving than the games that inspired it. So I would imagine that if you're not into the whole Soulsborne vibe, that it's incredibly unlikely that LiesOfP is going to be the game to change that. I kinda wish that I had a little bit more insight on the game itself, but honestly, I don't really have all that much experience with the genre. I've got nothing against it, I'm just not very good at them, or more accurately, I lack the patience that I would require to reach a skill level that I'd be happy with. With that said, however, from my own limited perspective, I have to say that I do believe that this game is shaping up to be a very decent entry into the genre, and should be able to scratch that itch for those that really are into these types of games. My only real complaints are that the dodge just doesn't kind of feel right, and that some of the enemies had animations that I really struggled to read, mostly due to a mix of fast wind-ups and long swing delays. I also struggled more than what I'd like to admit when it came to getting to grips with some of the mechanics, not because they were difficult to understand or pull off, but rather because I simply didn't get or more likely see/pay attention to their introduction, though even if it was my own mistake, this isn't something that I've struggled with in many games, so I think it's highly likely that the game could do a much better job of communicating things through gameplay, because I don't believe that a game should ramp up the difficulty by several factors just because someone misses a tooltip or accidentally skipped a pop-up. By no means was this a deal breaker, but it certainly led to friction, so hopefully when it comes to the full game, they could tweak a few things to make sure that players don't easily miss out on vital tech. As already mentioned, LiesOfP is shaping up to be a great entry into the Souls-like genre, and the developers/publisher deserve to be commended for giving us such a chunky piece of content in this demo. Not only is the game itself looking great, but from a technical perspective, I'm very happy to be able to report that LiesOfP runs incredibly well, and doesn't seem to suffer from any of the red flags recently associated with Unreal Engine releases here on the PC. Fingers crossed, this quality and stability can be carried forward to the full release, but for now, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more.